to everybody who is joining. We've got quite a few people coming in still. So I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes before well, maybe a minute before I do an intro, um, just to open the event. And then I will allow everyone who is speaking tonight to introduce themselves as well. Okay, welcome everybody. I will just warn you that I'm having some technical difficulties this evening. So if you see my screen change from a live camera to my usual background, don't panic, I'm still here. I'm just videoless tonight. So you'll still hear my voice and I'll still be speaking. I'd like to welcome you all to our little event. It's for BCSWomen, and it's the Women in Tech Advancing Your Career with Coaching and In-Demand Skills event. I'll talk about BCSWomen a little bit in a moment, but first of all, I'd like to introduce you to some of our panel and also my fellow speaker for the night. So we've got Jane Nie, Akua Opong, who is also a member of the BCS. And we have Imogen Hopkins-Bell as well, who is here in the capacity of a recruitment for tonight. So it should be a very good conversation once we get to the panel. I'd love for you all to introduce yourselves. So I'm going to start with Imogen, as you're in my top left. So go for it.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Imogen. I am a recruitment specialist. I've been doing it for about 4 years and I focus more within the QA space. So I've worked across multiple technical roles, but predominantly within QA. That's it, really.
Okay. Jane, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Jane. I'm a certified life and career coach and very passionate about diversity, inclusion, and equality. I mainly provide coaching and training to individuals, organizations who are focusing on like women and ethnic minorities. So my journey into coaching was really in the States when I suffered from some health issues, made redundant, and coaching helped me to guide me back to my purpose and vision. So right now, I really want to use coaching as a tool to help others find clarity, find balance, and purpose in their life. And as we dive into our today's session, I encourage you to also think about what brings you here and what you want to gain from here. And look forward to speaking with you all.
Okay. I will talk a little bit about myself, but I've actually got a slide in my presentation that talks all about me. But if you don't know me, I'm actually Nicola Martin, and I'm a member of BCSWomen. I'm on the committee. I have been for about 5 years, actually. It will be 5 years next year. And I've loved every minute of it. I do lots of different events for them and, help out on BCS Lovelace conference as well when I can. And yeah, I will speak some more about my background and everything once we get to my presentation. So just a little bit about BCSWomen, first of all. Some of you may be members already. And if you're a BCS member, but you're not signed up to our membership group, you should really join. So I encourage you to go into your groups list and select BCSWomen. It's a specialist group within the BCS, and the group is dedicated to supporting female and non-binary tech professionals tackling the industry's gender gap. BCSWomen is the largest networking group for women working in computing in the UK. And we offer a range of support for women throughout their career, including events and conferences. And as I've mentioned before, our main conference for women is BCS Lovelace. We also get involved in professional networking and working with other teams outside of BCS on access to training and mentors as well. Okay, so I'm just going to try and share my screen so that I can show you my presentation for today. So I've got some slides to show you, but first of all, let me get set up. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, so this is what we'll be doing this evening. So we've obviously just done the introductions, but you're going to see two presentations, one from Jane and one from myself on coaching from kind of different perspectives. But mostly it will just bring us into a holistic space about what the benefits of coaching and mentoring are for you within your career. Then we're going to have a quick presentation Q&A. So I would encourage you when we start to do the presentations to start to put your questions into the chat. I'll keep an eye on it and we'll hopefully be able to answer some of your questions in the 5 minutes before we start the panel discussion. And then we're going to be talking about women building a tech career and the value of mentorship and coaching. And we'll have Akua and Imogen helping us out on that panel. And then at 7:15, by about that time, hopefully, we should have some time for more Q&A. So during the panel discussion, again, please put your questions into the chat and we'll hopefully be able to answer all of those for you. And then by about 7:30, that should bring the event to a close. So now we're going to go into the coaching presentations and I'm going to hand over to Jane, who's going to present for you.
Thank you. Can you see my slides now?
Yes.
So everyone, thank you for joining me for this session. Today, I'm going to talk about the power of coaching, guiding women in tech towards joy and fulfillment. So a little bit introduction about myself, and I really provide coaching and training to help women and diverse professionals to thrive with purpose and joy, and also passionate about workplace equality, diversity, inclusion, and well-being. So I'm certified coach by International Coaching Federation, and my background degree was in public health and nutrition. That's what gave me the passion in well-being in general. I'm really dedicated to promoting more equal, inclusive, connected world where all beings can live their best lives. So please, yeah, I'm going to run a little Slido question. If you can scan this QR code and then answer a question. I'm just stop sharing for a moment so you can run the question. Are you able to see the screen now? Yeah. So if you can run the Slido, then I can see your response. Oops. Okay, I'm seeing the response now. It's like 6-7%, like 2/3 of people here have never had a coach before. And then I'm going to run the second question. What comes to your mind when you think about coaching? People think support, mentor, guidance, help getting a job, focusing on specific goals, enable you to become your best self. I like that. Support your growth, growing. Yeah, it's all about growth. Support and growth are the key words here. Oh, sorry. Oops, sorry. There's some tech issues here.
You're okay.
Yeah. Just going to share again. So what is coaching? The definition of coaching is a collaborative partnership to help you achieve personal or professional goals. So the coach's role, it acts as a guide, as a lot of you mentioned already, but it's not an advisor. We don't give you suggestions, advices, because we believe that you have all the answers within you. So the coach's role is that we help you become the person who can solve the problem by finding out the wisdom and strength within yourself. Instead of coaching on the problem, we coach the person. So we not only allow you to solve the current problem with your wisdom, we also enable you to become the person who can solve future problems. So it's a very empowering process. And we always focus on growth and goal setting and future-oriented solutions. So why is it important that we have coaching for women in tech? Because we have unique challenges. So I have some data here from the States, and Nicola is going to talk more about the stats in the UK. But we are underrepresented. Only 26% tech roles are held by women, only 3% Black Hispanic. And because we're underrepresented, we often have self-doubt and have imposter syndrome. And there's a gender pay gap. So 16% gender pay gap in the tech industry compared to the national average of 11% in the UK. And because of the high pressure world of the tech industry, we often face challenges in work-life balance, especially as women. You have so many responsibilities from families, from career, and from life in general. So it's really hard to navigate this without the right support. So just invite you to reflect on yourself. Have you ever felt that you didn't belong, or you feel that you doubt your skills? Yeah, feel free to type in the chat box if you have felt any moments like that. And coaching can provide you with the tools to help navigate these challenges. So how coaching can help? For me, I use a life coaching approach to help you with a career as well. So what is life coaching? So we always use a wheel of life as example to help people find out what are the important segments in their life. So life coaching addresses holistic growth. It's about your entire life, your career, your health, your relationships, your passions, because they are all interconnected. And we encourage you to grow in all the different important segments so that you can grow sustainably. A lot of times when we use the society standard to push ourselves forward, we can feel very tired and drained, and we feel guilty that we're not spending enough time on the things that are important to us. So when you feel that you are really stuck, when you feel that you're so overwhelmed with a lot of things, maybe take a step back and reflect, what are really the important things for you? What are the priorities in you? And is career or is the society standard of success really something working for you? So what does true success mean to you? So coaching can also support your well-being. We always say that self-care is the foundation of everything. We can only build sustainable success by prioritizing our own well-being. So coaching can help you to identify those personal values and priorities so that you can prioritize your own well-being. It can also help you build self-awareness because so you know that what's important to you, what are the stresses in your life, and what are the habits and routines that are draining your energy, so you can make better adjustments and make your life work for you. It can also, by identifying your values, priorities, and the stresses, you can identify the boundaries for yourself and set healthy boundaries. So I coach people on how to set up their boundaries. What is the right boundary for them? And some people actually don't prefer the word boundary. They feel like it's a box that put them in and feel restricted when they use the word boundary. So what would be the alternative thing for you if your boundary is not a word for you, but you still want that kind of balance? So it's really a personalized approach when we use coaching. A life coaching approach can also help you to transform your career growth. So people always ask me, what's the difference between career coaching and life coaching? So I will say that when you do a typical career coach, it's more about career growth. Sorry. But then when you use a life coaching approach, we recognize that career is just part of your identity. You have more identities more than your tech career. You're maybe also a mom, you may be a daughter, you may be a partner, or you may just also be a friend. So what are the different identities in your life that you feel important to you? And how can you align your career goal with your life goal and values and with your life vision? Who do you want to be in your life? What kind of presence do you want to bring to the world? What kind of contribution do you want to bring to the world? And how can your career contribute to that big vision? And with that kind of big vision in mind, we also help you develop the skills beyond career skills. It's beyond networking. It's also about your resilience, your adaptability, your emotional intelligence. How do you work with different people? How do you deal with the different relationships in your life beyond your career relationships? And how do you be adaptable to the changes, uncertainties in your life? Have you thought about starting your own business? Have you thought about doing a career change? How do you navigate those transitions? So coaching really help you go through those changes to find the career that really work for you and develop the holistic skills. Coaching can also help you foster confidence and inner strength. Through coaching conversations, you have a better understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. You have a better understanding of your values to this world to help you build that confidence. So when we are in this tech world, when we are underrepresented, it's a lot of unconscious bias going around us. And the worst case scenario is that sometimes we internalize those doubts from the outside world and we doubt ourselves. But are those doubts really true? Are those judgments from other people really true? How can we know deeply about our self-worth without being influenced by the external voices? How do we turn down the outside noises and internal doubts and really become the person that we are meant to be? So coaching can help you build those inner strength and clarity. And with that kind of inner strength, with that confidence and self-awareness, you know who you are authentically. You know how you can lead authentically. So you can build your personal branding with authenticity and with confidence, and you can advocate for yourself confidently. And then with that, you can lead your life purposely. I advocate for self-leadership. So it's not only about being a leader in your team, because it's not everyone's goal to be a leader in the team. Having recent data showing that a lot of people in the States now, you don't want to progress in the career, don't want to climb that ladder because they are satisfied with their current situation. That's what life means to them. So purposeful leadership is all about what are the goals, what kind of life do you want, and how do you want to lead yourself, lead your life, and lead everything in your life. So I'm not going to run a slide on that, but feel free to scan it and submit it. But just maybe take a moment, jot down on your journal to think about what's one value that drives you. You can type that in the chat box, like what's one core value that's driving you, like everyday life, when you wake up in the morning, how do I want to spend the day? And think about all the people around you, think about all the things they're doing now. What's one core value that's driving everything that makes you excited, makes you look forward to the future? And at the end of your life, how would you want to live this life? And think about how aligned your current life is with that value. Are you doing everything because it's important to you, or are you doing things because the other people tell you to do, or because you feel that there's a push from outside world that's overwhelming you that you have to do something? So when you have that kind of I have to do something, I should do something mindset, maybe step back and reflect. Do I really need to do this? Is this something that aligns with my value? So some people mention about mentorship as coaching, but it's kind of some difference here. So mentorship is more about knowledge transfer from experienced person. So they pass on their knowledge to you. And coaches help you find your own answers instead of as a mentor, they give you the answers, give you suggestions. Because we believe that everyone has their unique experiences and not that like mentors suggest may not work for you. So coaching can help you to identify what are the suggestions might work for you and what are the suggestions that might just be good suggestions, but not working for you. And sponsorship are people who are senior level in the their career, and then they can advocate for you in the workplace to help you elevate visibility and career advancement. And coaches can also guide you on how to find out those sponsors. What kind of sponsors do you want? So just some final thoughts on how to take ownership of a tech career. So first of all, really develop self-awareness, understand your strengths, weaknesses, understand your values and aspirations, understand what's driving you so that you can make decisions aligning with your values. So, and also identify and break blocks such as limiting beliefs or what kind of behaviors are not serving you, what kind of emotions are not serving you, what's draining you. Really identify and break those blocks. And then find the clarity, align your personal and career goals, visions, and prioritize self-care. Really put yourself in the center of your life. You are in the driving seat. And build a strong support system. Now like a network of mentors, coaches, sponsors, and allies like friends, families, they are all important part of a support system. We cannot survive on this world by ourselves. We cannot survive alone. We all need that kind of support system. And then build confidence, believe in yourself, believe in your worth, like believe in your worth, your value in your career and in this planet. And but also at the same time, we evolve with self-compassion. Coaching is all about growth, but we don't approach growth from the self-blame mindset. We approach growth with compassion. We know that things are hard sometimes, and we don't blame ourselves. Instead, we say we're either growing or we are succeeding. When we succeed, we celebrate. When we grow, we also celebrate. So we grow from failure. We celebrate all the failure. They make us stronger, make us wiser. And we also prioritize consistent action and small wins instead of striving for perfection. Instead of giving yourself a high goal, set a high standard of finishing a big chunk of stuff, you'll bring like smaller steps. How can you how can you break things into smaller steps you can achieve and then celebrate each time? That helps you build more momentum, motivation. And so taking ownership is really not about reaching a destination, because life doesn't have a destination that you have to achieve. It's about growing purposefully and thriving along the journey, looking forward to the future because you know you're achieving your life vision. But every day you are excited, you're living in the present moment with joy, with presence. And as pioneers in tech, you deserve success fulfillment. You are capable, you are valuable, you are powerful. A lot of women find it hard to believe that how capable they are, find it hard to believe in their self-worthiness because we have such a good heart of serving other people. But sometimes we need to believe that we have the power within us to achieve anything. And with the right support, you can really excel in every part of your career and lead a fulfilling life. So coaching can help you not just survive, but thrive. So I'd love to stay connected. So this is my QR code if you want to stay connected. And Nicola is also going to share our QR codes later. And I hope you enjoy the conversation. There'll be later a Q&A session. Then looking forward to answering more of your questions. Thank you.
Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you. I was smiling the whole way through it. Lots and lots of really, really, positive things there. Okay, so it's me up next. If I can get all of these things I've been letting people into the meeting as well. So hello to anyone who's just joined us. You have missed a little bit, but it is all being recorded, and the recording should be available fairly soon. And then you'll find it on YouTube. And I think what will happen is you'll receive the link because you've booked for this session. But huge thank you to Jane for doing that presentation for us. That was really, really insightful. I'm just really happy that you were able to come and talk to us about that. But we'll, obviously talk to you some more in the panel. I'm going to share my screen now. So just bear with me while I flip through my many, many things that I need to do today. Mine's slightly different. It's got a Slido, so I'm actually sharing in Slido. So my talk is about the power of your tech career and coaching and finding your competitive edge. There are lots of different types of career coaching niches, if you like, and depending on where you are in your career, there may be specific subjects within this area that you need to talk to somebody about or work with someone to, get to your goals. So I'm just going to cover some of those here, and I'm going to talk about some of the tech stats as Jane mentioned, but maybe deep dive a little bit more so you understand why we think it's so important for you to have career coaching as something within your toolkit. So I'm going to cover in my 15 to 20 minutes what tech career coaching is. So you got a definition from Jane about career coaching, but I have maybe a bit more depth in terms of what it would be from a tech career coaching perspective. I'm going to look at how you might unlock your potential talk about mindset and why it's really important for success. If you're at this point, you might think about what type of training you would need or coaching you might need and support for going into leadership. So I'll look at that a little bit. And then about developing in-demand technical and leadership skills as well. We'll talk a bit about that, and then achieving your tech career vision through coaching. And I'll just admit this person before I start. Okay, so as I've mentioned before, if you have never heard of me before, I've got about 20 years in the tech sector in terms of experience. I started off as a project admin before moving into software testing, business analysis, and I've done project management as well. But I predominantly work within the software testing space, and I've had tons of different roles, and I've worked at all different levels. I've done consultancy before, did that for years, and I have ran my own company as a contractor for best part of 12 years. Someone else in. And so, yeah, I've got tons of experience. I've worked with lots of different teams in different roles in everywhere, basically. Even down to working in not just software engineering, but I've worked in delivery, operations, and other areas of tech companies that maybe other people don't get to work in. I obviously have a huge commitment to quality and inclusion. I've volunteered in the women in tech space for a very long time, well over, although I've been with the BCS for, volunteer-wise for 5 years, I've actually been a member of the BCS for as maybe 20-something years. I don't know the exact amount of years, but I've also worked with other organisations as well. So UN Women UK, I've worked on other UN online projects before as well. And just volunteer projects. And I've done lots of volunteering for different organizations outside, including Women in Tech volunteer roles within the space as well. In terms of professional leadership and awards, I'm a fellow of the BCS, and I currently serve as the chair of the BCS SIGIST committee, which is the special interest group in software testing. So it's the second group I work with. I used to work with other groups as well within BCS, but I've had to give that up because I do too much. I'm also a trustee of the Friends of the National Archive, which was a personal thing that I wanted to do. And it was actually Akua, who's on the call and is presenting with us later. She actually encouraged me to go for a trustee role. And so I did, because as I say to her, I do listen sometimes. And I've won awards. I've been on the Computer Weekly Most Influential Women in UK Tech in the top 50, I think, for the past 3 years. And I was also in their Rising Stars before that, top 10. I've won awards with Women of Tech Excellence. I won the highly commended in the role model category last year, and the Every Woman in Tech AI Champion Award. I won that in March this year. And in terms of my career coaching and consultancy, I'm a professional life and career coach. I've done career coaching for pretty much all of my career, just didn't have that title at first. But I've done that within my roles because I've led teams of maybe between 70 and 100 people on some projects, depending on what I was doing in consultancy. And obviously that's a massive part of the work that you do when you line manage. So I've done that. I've got certs in cognitive behavioral therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy as well, and NLP therapies. And I try to roll that into my practice as well. I won't talk about that here because it's not really the platform, but I do try to roll that into my practice when I'm working with clients. And so, I provide tailored guidance to tech professionals on career development and growth, especially with a tech leaning because of my background. And you can see all these screenshots on the page. I also do a podcast now, which I was just about to put a new episode up before we came on. And I'm also, this is a picture from my link tree. So at the end, as Jane mentioned, I'll share all of our QR codes and you'll be able to get in touch with us post the event. Okay, so into the details, right? So Jane touched on the tech stats, and I think it's really important. These are the reasons why I think it's really important for people to have mentors or coaches as part of their network and people that they can turn to for advice. But also on a more serious level, if they want to work towards goals, then coaching is the key thing. And then obviously if you want to go on to find specific roles or go into specific areas, sponsorship also helps there as well. But these tech stats that you can see on screen are actually from a company called Tech Talent Charter, and they're from their diversity report, which came out this year. Quite sadly, Tech Talent Charter is no longer with us. I don't know if they've shut yet, but they are due to shut, or if they haven't already. One of the casualties of DE&I being rolled out of companies, and also because of budget cuts. So unfortunately, we may not see these types of reports from them again, but they've been instrumental in the past few years in allowing us to see the state of the industry on a deeper level than the stats that maybe the government gives out each year. One of the ones I want to draw your attention to is the one that says 29% for UK tech employees or that are women or non-binary. That means that that's what they think, that's the number of the percentage of people that they think are working currently within the tech space who are women or non-binary. That is actually much more than I expected it to be. Usually the number for women hovers at around 22%. I know at some point after the lockdown it was 19, but it usually hovers at around 22%. So it could be between 22 and 26 at the moment, based on the fact that they've put both groups together and said 29%. That's still a very low number. But what we're hoping to do with all the work that we do in the volunteer space, especially, is to ensure that women feel supported throughout their careers and that they want to stay in tech. Because the key thing is once you're in, we need to be able to retain that and keep people in so that they have long and productive and happy careers, because, there's no point in doing a job that you hate. A note here, it also says that software engineers, 20% of them are women or non-binary. So that's a good number as well. They don't have a breakdown beyond the software engineers because, that would be really interesting to see where, the different areas that people are choosing to work in. I always say to people, you don't need to code to come into tech, although you would think that if you looked at all of them, no disrespect to any of them, but if you looked at all of the boot camps, you'd think that the only way you could get in is by coding. And that's not the case, especially when we have people who come from different backgrounds in terms of their work, and they have amazing skills and amazing knowledge that they could actually apply to roles within tech. So if you're used to working with data, for example, that's one area that you could potentially get into that you don't need to necessarily be coding for. Or if you were interested in security, cybersecurity is a great area to get into. And then, of course, from my perspective, there's quality, which used to be less about coding, but now as the competition for roles has become more fierce, it's unfortunate that there is a big call for people to be able to do some level of coding for testing and quality type roles. And in fact, those roles are being merged into software engineer roles more and more. So, it's less likely that you're going to be able to get one of those roles, but there are newer roles coming onto the market all the time that, potentially you have a skill set that may be a good match for with some additional training. So, if you worked with me, these are the types of things that I would, review with you. And this obviously gives us a huge and wonderful view of the different levels and types of jobs that people are doing within the tech space as women. So career coaching from a tech perspective, I gave a presentation on Saturday, and this is really what I thought about when I thought about, coaching from a tech perspective. I think the main areas that I think, are development, your goal setting and planning, networking and personal brand, and where I probably help people the most is in job search and interview. So in terms of the development, it's identifying the in-demand tech skills. And you might be somebody who wants to learn to code but has never done it before. So where do you start? If you're already working for a company, it usually helps that you check what they're doing from a tech stack perspective. But if you want to work for another company that you've seen outside, it's making sure that you can try and find out what their tech stack is, what languages they want their developers to know, and then making sure that you have those skills within your set. So, it's looking at what's in demand and making sure that you keep up to date with that. It's constantly changing, so you can't learn everything, but trying your best to, keep as close to what's generic as possible is really, really important. And in terms of goal setting and planning, offering short-term and long-term goals, which Jane talked about, that's what we can help you to do. We help you to plan, and whether that's for promotions potentially, if you've seen a new role that you want to go for, or if you're thinking about career shifting, you might be in a completely different area like marketing and want to get into tech. So, these are the types of things that you can work through in coaching. And then you've got network and personal brand. I think one of the things that's really important in this day and age is not to, sit on your laurels. The fact is, you have to humbly brag about the things that you do, right? I think I think it's Yelp that encourages their staff to do bragging. I think they call them bragging sheets or bragging lists. And essentially all that is writing down or keeping a record of all of the amazing stuff that they've done over and above the objectives that they need to do for the year. So they encourage them to keep a living document basically that lists all the things that they've been doing outside of that, so that they can talk about it when they go to line management reviews or into meetings. And so that's something that's really good, I think, for you. You can do things like that to ensure that you're aware of all the wonderful things that you do in a year. And, you can look back at the stuff you've done and think, I've done a huge amount that I haven't even considered. And you can pat yourself on the back for doing that stuff. And then it can also help you to focus on what you need to do next, or what you might need to do in 6 months or a year. So also, the thing around personal brand is about your professional presence. So it allows you to network effectively and, stand out with your personal brand in the industry. And somebody who's really good at that is Akua. So please do get in touch with her. I'm landing you in it here, but you can get in touch with her if you want to talk about that in more detail. I'm sure she would be happy to speak to you. I maybe shouldn't have done that, but I have now. But then there's also job search and interview. Career coaching, can assist with your resume optimization and, your interview practice. I know for a fact that there are companies who are running 6+ interview processes, and they can last months. Meta is one of them. And it is very stressful for the person involved. And you might need hand-holding through that. So they're those type of things that, coaches can help you with. And potentially, it might be just making sure that you feel confident before you go to an interview, and making sure that your resume is, perfect for that particular role that you're applying for. And hopefully once you get to the interview stage, hand-holding through that process to make sure that you're good with everything that you're doing for it. So I do have a Slido as well. Actually, I have 2 questions, but this is the first one. If you would, could you take a picture of the QR code, or go to slido.com and put in this number, and just let me know what stage you're at in your tech journey. Oh, we're getting people are already on there, so they're already logging in. We've got lots of people who are just starting. some mid-career, some, oh, I love this. I got this on Saturday as well. Do you know, on Saturday, I put this question in my Slido only as a last minute thing, thinking nobody would pick it, but it's really interesting. Lots of people picked it. So, you know, the unsure what happens next category is interesting. And I would love to speak to you if you would identify yourselves in the chat maybe, and I'll pick up your details after this event, because I'll speak to you maybe in the week or something, because I'm really interested and curious about the situation where people are in their heads about the unsure what happens next. I'm really interested in that level or that people are at, but I'm equally interested in all the levels that people are at in their career. I think the unsure what happens next category is post-late career, and is where the industry might decide to age you out, which is happening silently, let's be honest. And we need to be better prepared for that, right? And we need to have plan B. And that's what I love to work on. And, you know, I really love to have those conversations with people to find out where they are about the unsure what happens next, and help them to get to a point where they're confident about what happens next. And I've got 40% of people saying that they're just starting. So that's another interesting one. I love that. It's good because it means that we've got people interested in BCSWomen who are just starting out. If you're not a member of the BCS and you're just starting out, I encourage you to join and get some support, because throughout your career, you'll need it. Okay, all right, I'm going to hop on to the next slide because I'm aware that we're running out of time. Okay, so unlocking potential, the benefits for women in tech. So coaching can overcome these kind of problems. Limited representation, which happens when people don't really have network, or, you know, work in small teams maybe, and don't have those kind of relationships that we may have had pre-lockdowns because people work mostly remotely. Self-limiting beliefs. So we've talked a little bit about mindset, I think. So self-limiting beliefs and lack of mentorship, as I've mentioned. So coaching can help you to overcome these challenges of building confidence, setting strategic goals, and helping grow, you know, helping you with a supportive community. Because the you know, tech is a supportive community. You just have to find your people. And there are, you know, in terms of mindset coaching for success, the 3 areas I think are important are the one that is coming up a lot in conversations at the moment: imposter syndrome, building resilience, and you know, adapting to change. So, you know, in the importance of mindset coaching, and it's not it's not an area of coaching on its own, but it's something that I would cover, and I'm sure Jane covers in her work as well. It's about helping you to understand that you're not the problem when it comes to feeling imposter syndrome. A lot of the time, it's because we've been given a responsibility that we haven't had explained to us properly, for example. I speak to people all the time who've suddenly been dumped with a whole new set of work that's outside of their normal job description, but they've just been expected to get it done. That's the type of thing that fosters imposter syndrome. And that, you know, understanding that it's not you, you're not the problem, and then working out where the gap is and trying to fill that is a really important, you know, thing to get over the imposter syndrome. And there are lots of different examples of it, but I have no time to go into them here today. You know, the mindset shift that you need to get out of that place of feeling like an imposter to feeling very confident and capable of doing the things that you've been asked to do, or that you're doing, and that you're not in the wrong job. You know, that there are, you know, things that we can do to make that a thing. So you basically feel like the best person that you can be, and the best person for the job. You know, the simplest thing you could do for building resilience and you know, is like a mindfulness kind of activity. So every day you could do journaling, for example, or you could, you know, and that's the same for imposter syndrome. If you feel like you are failing at things, write down the things that you think you're failing at and read back what you're saying about yourself. And after a while, you'll realize that this is not true. It's not, the problem isn't you. And, asking for help is not a bad thing. And you should be able to do that to get clarity on the things that are bothering you so that you can, get over these problems and get the clarity that you need. There are other areas, obviously, of coaching that I've talked about. So the executive coaching, for example, if you feel that you're at a point, maybe mid-management career, and you think now is the time for you to step up into, I don't know if you step up into C-suite, if that's your goal, or it may be just stepping up into team leadership or into management. There's a different type of coaching then that we do that keeps you, highly focused, setting out clear goals that, what we work towards. And, it's the role of executive coaching there. Oh, I've still got people arriving. So, we want to try and build a future that has, a near future that has well-rounded tech leaders in it. And we want a diversity of leaders, because obviously we know at the moment that's not really the case, but we're, trying to address that. So we need to have people who have that skill set. And I think that just speaking personally, I think in the past 3 to 5 years, there's been a lack of focus on soft skills and more of a focus on technical skills, especially as we've had AI and Gen AI come into the fore. Everybody needs to be more technical, and that's been the focus. But it's been at the it means that the other things like soft skills around interpersonal skills, etc., they've all taken a back seat. But I think that needs to come back to the fore, especially if you're thinking about moving into leadership roles where they are absolutely essential. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able, as it says, about team building and strategic thinking, critical thinking, and that's often overlooked in your technical training. And also, it's it's a big transition from your normal job that you've done into a leadership role. There's more eyes on you, which obviously then brings up things like imposter syndrome. And it's really important that you have that kind of career support that goes beyond mentorship. And at this point, we start to also talk about sponsorship as well. So developing those in-demand skills, you want to make sure you're keeping a competitive edge, and that you have customized skill development, and that's the type of thing that you work on with a coach. And you want to try and combine the technical and the leadership skills. You do sometimes find people who are not interested in leadership at all. They just want to keep focused on technical, and that's absolutely fine. And you do still get people who want leadership but not technical, which is more difficult. But I have heard of CTOs who are not technical, but it's very rare. And then looking at the in-demand skills, as I've mentioned, it's about making sure that you keep on top of those. My last question is, so back to Slido. What's one career goal you're inspired to focus on after today's session? I'll give you a minute to answer that because we're a bit behind. I can see lots of typing, but the answers are not coming up. So hopefully they'll come up soon. I think it's just a free text box. Okay, so somebody's saying that one career goal they're inspired to focus on is data owner lead or test team lead, doing projects without reading them all, leadership to encourage more women into tech and for them to stay. Here, fully support that. Moving in from different areas, so finance to tech role, okay? Advertising your skills and cybersecurity analyst or consulting. Ooh, I like that one. We've actually got a cybersecurity event in December on the 5th. I'm about to advertise it, but not today. I'll have to wait until later in the week. But link up with me on LinkedIn if you don't already, and you'll see our post this week about it. But it's interesting because we'll be talking about cybersecurity careers and myth busting. So yeah, we'll talk about that. Someone else has said here about becoming a Scrum Master. Interesting one. Give me your name and details in the chat, oh Scrum Master to be, and I'll have a chat with you at some point this week. Only because I'm hearing some things about the whole Scrum Master role, Agile consultant role, and it might mean that you think laterally about the role you want to do. Okay, senior leadership, C-suite in publishing tech. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got loads here. Becoming a senior software developer and getting myself a coach. That's a brilliant, brilliant one. Okay, I'm going to hop on to the next slides. Okay, so very quickly, achieving your tech career vision through coaching. It's about comprehensive growth, tailored support, but you have to have the motivation to act. Like Jane was saying, I think she mentioned about holding something along the lines of holding yourself accountable. We also would hold you accountable as well, and you're doing the work essentially, but we are here to support you in that. So it's finding out the plan and what's best for you in terms of your goals and your dreams, and then working with you to ensure that you keep to it and you achieve the goals and meet your milestones. That's the key thing. That's it. That's my QR code. But as I said, in a bit later, we're going to have all of our QR codes on screen. And that's my link tree. So once you go in there, you'll see a load of stuff. But yeah, if you want to, that QR code takes you to my link tree and all my other links. Okay, I think that's it. I don't need to share anymore. Okay, yeah. We've got Q&A. So I think there'll probably be loads of questions in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can go and read the chat and see if there are any questions for Jane or myself quickly. Okay, I'm back. Oh, I've got 34 things to read in the chat. Oh my goodness, so many questions. Wow. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, it may be that we only have questions at the end. Let me see. Can someone put their hand up if they had a specific question? If you use the reactions, because there's just so much stuff here. Okay, I've got one question. So someone's asked, how do we get involved with Women in Tech and get BCS membership? Okay, so there's actually a discount code as well that you can use, I believe, a BCS Women discount code. Is it Samaya? Hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, but I haven't got it here, but I'm going to send it to you if you are happy to put your LinkedIn or email in the chat.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I'm Samaya. How are you?
Hi.
Look,
Yeah, so you've asked the question about getting involved with BCS Women.
yeah,
There are ways, but I don't have the full details with me right now. I can't give them to you right now because it's quite a lot of talking.
right, that's
But
fine. Yeah.
if you go along to the BCS website, you will
Okay.
find, if you search for BCS Women, that it will come up, and there's actually an email there to get in touch with the group themselves, and then they can send you some more details. If you want to get BCS membership, as I said, there is a discount code that you could potentially use. They may supply you with that as well when you write to them. So if you go to BCS website, search for BCS Women, there's an email address to get in touch with the group.
Right, okay, so
And they should
BCS
send you,
Women, and
yeah.
then there's an email address to like get involved with the Women in Tech group. Okay,
Yeah, just go to the
excellent.
main
Yeah.
BCS site, look for BCS Women.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right. Oh, have you got a question, Akua? Is that what you're saying?
No, sorry, Nicola. I was
Oh.
going to say that I've got a link and the code if you want me to post
Oh,
it.
yeah, if you've got them, yeah, that would be fantastic.
I'll
Brilliant.
do that now.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Oh, yeah, look, the BCS Women 20. Oh, you guys are so brilliant. Thank you so much. too many jobs to do. I feel like a spider. I haven't got enough arms. You know, it's a lot today. So many of you on here. Wow. Someone's asked, okay, someone's asked here, I've recently completed a BCS accredited full stack web development bootcamp. I have over 20 years of professional experience in different fields and find transitioning to tech challenging. What weight would the previous experience have for a career changer? It depends on what your background is. So whatever you've done for your previous roles, if it was something in the new role that you were going for that you felt you could utilize the skills from, then that's what you'd highlight in your CV. I'm sure Imogen would agree with that. Yeah. And then maybe we have a question like that coming up. Yeah, do you agree with that, Imogen?
Yeah, and I can touch when I speak on more of a recruitment perspective.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to scan through these because we are a bit behind. We're about 15 minutes behind. I hope you don't mind staying a bit longer, everyone. As an associate member, how do I get involved in voluntary projects? It totally depends on what you want to do as a volunteer. There are hundreds of groups within BCS that you can get involved in. That's local groups or specialist groups. We've got a number of those as well. They usually call for you to have a bit more experience in your chosen field. But you can get involved with any of the local groups if you write to them. Again, go to the BCS website and search for a specific area if you'd like. But yeah, there, you know, if you want to get involved with a women in tech group, I'm sure, again, Akua can give you some advice. She goes to all the events and she knows everybody. So, you know, I'm sure she can help you there if you wanted to get involved in a women in tech group. But yeah, let me just go through and just make sure there are any more. Does membership give you access to courses? It does give you access to the skills courses that BCS has internally. It's not the certification ones. It's just, you know, things like helping you with interview skills, and other bits and pieces like that, helping you with your CV. They've got a CV reviewer tool. And there's stuff like you can set goals for yourself or get someone to work with you as a mentor and set goals. So that's all within the membership part of the website. And there are certain smaller certs that you can go for, but then they're certainly not the BCS ones that you see online that you might be thinking about. Yeah. So it will only give you membership. And then if you wanted proper certification, like in business analysis or testing or something like that, you have to pay extra. I'm a master's public health, but I want to find my place in IT working with digital health literacy. Okay, that's not a question. What's the best way to get started in your career in cloud computing or cybersecurity for someone with a non-technical background? How can I answer that? Again, this is really, it depends really. Cloud computing or cybersecurity. It really depends. Again, this is where you have to speak to somebody who can look at your previous skills or your CV and then work with you to understand where your strengths lie and then, you know, kind of match roles to that are in industry currently. And roles change all the time. And one company might have a role, but another company has the same role, but they're not doing the same thing. So, you know, again, it's about finding something that matches best your background, your skills, what you're comfortable with, what you're wanting to learn, that kind of thing. I'm going to leave the rest of the questions for now because we're running behind by quite a bit, and I don't want it to go any further than that. I'm just going to go back to sharing. Well, I'm actually not. We've got a panel discussion now with Akua, Jane, and Imogen, and we're going to go through some questions. Normally we'd do this in person. We'd have a lovely stage, got some nice seats, but we're going to do this online. So let me see where I've got my questions so that I can speak to them. A second. Just bear with me. Okay. So my first question is actually for Imogen. Imogen, do you want to just give a little brief intro again of what you do every day so that everybody understands
Yeah,
Wow.
cool. So I'm a tech recruiter. So day to day, I'm speaking to candidates in QA is where I specialize, helping them with their job search, as well as speaking to clients, companies who are hiring, speaking with them about what they're looking for in the market.
Yeah. Okay, so the question to you, Imogen, is what skills and qualities do you find are most in demand for women entering or advancing in tech? And how can coaching help candidates meet these expectations? If you know the answer to that, else just answer the part about what
Yeah.
skills you think are most in demand.
Yeah, I think I'll approach it from a recruitment perspective. So I speak to candidates day in, day out. And I think firstly is confidence and the lack of confidence that a lot of the women that I speak to have. So I can imagine when you're on your own applying for positions, not getting anywhere or getting to interview processes, you know, it's tough, it's hard. I think, and I say to a lot of women, work with recruiters. I'm not selling myself here, but we are there to give you the confidence that you need and sort of coach you through the interview process. A lot of women that I speak to, I'll send over the job description. They don't want to go forward for the role because they're missing a couple of the skills. We're there to, coach and support them through that. A lot of women don't apply for jobs because they are missing a few skills. And when you don't have someone to speak to about that, you can spend hours scrolling and not wanting to apply for anything. So it's important, and I do say this to a lot of people, if you've got any recruiters in your network that you trust who specialize in the area of tech or the career that you're in, reach out to them, whether you're advancing your career or entering. So I know a few people said, I want to get into X, Y, and Z. I'd reach out to a recruiter who specializes in that area. We can give you advice on what skills our clients are looking for, what things to include on your CV. We can coach you through your CV as well as obviously coach you through that interview process. So that's one of the things I would say when working with recruiters. I also speak to a lot of women who work with coaches like yourself, Nicola, to coach them through the interview processes. So there's multiple people you can reach out to. In terms of skills, I know a lot about QA, software engineering, cybersecurity. I don't know exactly what skills these areas are looking for, but I would, again, it's all about reaching out to your network. I'd reach out to someone, who you've got, who you would maybe like to be like in a few years or in the long term. Drop them a message, see if they would help support you in that, mentor you, coach you, how they got to the position that they got to. The great thing about the tech industry and what I've realized from being a recruiter in it for the past 4 years is that a lot of people are willing to help.
Yeah.
So I'd really reach out to the people within your network and see how they got to the position that they did. And then, I know entering is extremely hard. I speak to people wanting to get into QA every single day. I'm here to help you with, telling you what looks good in the CVs. If you have 2 CVs, 2 people wanting the same position, if you look at one CV who, they've done courses, they've got that ISTQB, these are the things that make a real difference, but you wouldn't know that without speaking to people. So I think my main point with all this is just to reach out to people within your network, reach out to your recruiters, reach out to people that you would look up to, and get advice and get coaching and get support with that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, the whole thing with QA, just as an example, it's just one
Yeah.
role in hundreds and thousands. But the thing with QA is that you hear these things like, oh, it's really easy to get into QA. You don't need much experience. You just need an ISTQB. And what people think is that they'll go and sit this exam, 40 minutes, closed book, a multiple choice exam, and that they'll walk into a job the next week. I
Yeah.
mentored somebody last year who had been looking for a job with his ISTQB qualification for 6 years
Yeah.
because he'd been told if he did the exam, he'd get the job. So we know that's not true. And people within the space just roll their eyes and just say, I cannot. You have to speak
No.
to people. You have to speak to
Yeah.
people like Imogen, who will tell you that, you know, that's not what it takes. And you also have to speak to people who are already within the industry to get the advice
Yeah.
you need. Yeah.
We get
Don't
hundreds of
listen to anyone.
applications for multiple roles, and without speaking to people, you don't know what anyone's looking for.
Yeah.
I'm the same, Nicola. I get approached by multiple people every single day. I've got my ICQB qualification, been looking for a while, and then it's there to coach them. Well, you know, what else have you been doing to try and build up your CV and build up your application? But like I said, you just don't know. So I can only emphasize the importance of coaching, and the coaches that I've spoke to are brilliant, and people that I've spoke to who have had coaching throughout their career, and the changes and the differences that it's made in them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I hope that helped everybody to understand what the situation is at the moment from a recruitment perspective. Akua, you're next. Have you ever personally faced challenges in your tech career, and how has mentorship or coaching or networking played a role in overcoming those obstacles?
Yeah,
And how
thanks.
has it helped you to move your career forward?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Nicola. Hi, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the session today. So many gems and insights from both Nicola, Jane, and Imogen here. So, yeah, you're in for a treat with what we're saying today. I would say in terms of my own career, in terms of obstacles, just to set the context, so I work for the London Stock Exchange as an engineer. I've been here for about just over 5 years. And in terms of my team, I'm the only woman in a team of, I don't know how many of guys, there's like 10 guys or so. And so that's kind of in the London office. And then to put into context, there's about 4 women out of about 20 odd engineers. So in terms of obstacles, sometimes I would just say that it can be quite difficult to be heard in the room. And the other kind of obstacles is kind of how to get to the next level at times. And why I say that is because I'm not saying we're all competing with each other for other roles, but it's kind of when you work in that kind of male-dominated industry, there's certain projects that you work on secondment, and sometimes it's hard to kind of get yourself to that stage where you're put forward for them. And it's not because you're not advocating for yourself or saying, look, I'm good at X, Y, Z. It's just because of one, the amount of people in your team, and two, when it's kind of a male-dominated kind of environment, it's sometimes hard. You sometimes don't know when to sometimes speak up, and I'm quite introverted as well. So at times it's very difficult for me to say, like, look, I want to put myself forward for that because my manager knows the great work I do, but it's just more advocating myself and not kind of feeling like my talents are being nullified by others in the team. And I would definitely say that in terms of a coach and a mentor, because I've actually got both. And based on what Jane and Nicola were saying, when you're thinking about whether to get a coach, a mentor, or even sponsor, you've got to look at it as what's right for you in that moment. What do you need to take your career to the next step in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years? So you've got to have a kind of direct career plan and pathway in terms of
that one for that long.
Yeah, 100. Because
Wow.
even I've got a spreadsheet which has a 3 to 5 years plan. So I know like what I'm looking for in the next 3 years, 5 years. I'm just one of those type of people, but it's so important because you've got to be intentional in this life. You get what you give back, and also from putting in the hard work and being intentional on what your goals are. So
how are you finding having a 3 and 5 year plan when things are so changeable? We've seen what's happened in the last couple of years.
With that, you could tweak it still because it's not set in stone, because you got to look at the environment and the situation. For example, when I first started out in my tech career, I started out during the recession. So it took me a while to find a job, but I said to myself, rather than not get no experience whatsoever, I would work in one other field before that, so then I could gain customer service skills, and that could still be applied to my role, like going into tech, because you need to know how to deal with customers, clients, and that's for project work and any other thing you'd work on. So it's kind of like any skills you've got. And just to put into context as well, you can diversify in tech as well. So if you start off in one position, doesn't mean you'll always be in that area of technology, like whether it's, some of you have mentioned cybersecurity, some have mentioned Scrum Master, etc. You can diversify, move from one area of tech to another. It's how like
No, it's just saying women in tech.
Sorry, somebody's talking.
Yes, so it's how you kind of reapply those skills. And I think having a coach and mentor has been so pivotal, because a mentor has, for me, has offered me that professional guidance that I need to say, like, look, this is where you're at now to get to next stage. Like, this is what you need to work on. Where a coach, they've given me guidance in a different way, but it's more, I would say, behavioral, and it's changing my mindset and how I approach things as well, because I feel like that's quite key. And that's also how you deal with obstacles, how you change your mindset from going from a fixed to growth. So fixed mindset is kind of, if you stick to doing the same thing, you'll get the same results. Growth mindset is if you change things up, then that means that you're adaptable, you're willing to deviate from the norm. And then that helps you also grow as an individual, because through that, you're still authentic, but then you're kind of changing what you've been doing to help you get to where you want to be. And so it's so important. And why I have also a kind of coach and a mentor and half-heartedly a sponsor is because it's about having strength in numbers. So strength in numbers is having people that back you and give you that push when you're not feeling empowered, or you feel like, I don't have the confidence to achieve this or that. You've got those people behind you backing you, going, I've got you, I've got your back, and I'm going to help you get to where you want to be. So that's
can I just ask one more question of you? And it's actually related to what you've just been talking about. We've got a lot of people in the chat asking really what's the difference between coaching and mentoring. And although we've covered it, I think a real example from you, what's the difference for you between having a mentor on one hand and a coach? What do they do that you think is different?
Yeah, I would say in terms of the mentor's more professional kind of guidance. So they help you kind of look at, okay, let's say for instance, you want to go for another job, and you say to them, they might say to you, for instance, prime examples like if I was looking for another role within the company and I was a bit stuck and I was like, okay, I've got this skill set, but I need to have that skill set based on the job description. Your mentor will give you the guidance in terms of saying, okay, this is what you need. And they'll go through, like, let's say the job specification with you and give you guidance on how you can kind of get to the next level. The coach will give you kind of techniques and methods on how you approach things. So it's so different in that respect. And then a sponsor is a person that advocates for you when you're not in the room.
Yeah. Okay, no, thank you for that, because I think it's really important for people to understand. And I'd also add, for everybody that's asking, I know that Jane's given a huge definition, and I've given a little one, because I can't type and talk to everybody. But one of the things I would also add is that when you're looking at mentorship, you can do things like speed mentorship, where you just fire off a question to someone and they answer it. That's a form of mentorship. You can get mentorship via WhatsApp. That it's all very surface level. It's helpful, and it can answer quick questions that you might have, or if you're in a job and you're not quite sure how to do it, you can reach out to your mentor and they might be able to help you if they work in the same area. Those kind of things are very surface level, whereas coaching goes much deeper, and it's working on changing your mindset, the way you look at things, and helping you to get to those goals more confidently. Anyway, I just thought I'd ask that because I am seeing quite a few questions in the chat about the same thing. And so we just wanted to clarify that for everybody so that you understand that there is a difference.
Also, to add to that, what we were saying, like coaching is more focused on the person instead of just a problem. So you might present a problem to a mentor and they give you suggestions. And the coaching looks into what is causing that problem. How do you prevent in the future? And how do you become the person who can solve the problem in the future? Instead of just focusing on one simple problem. For example, one of my clients may come to me saying, I'm procrastinating on this task. And then I would look into why you're procrastinating. What is more important to you? And how do you combat procrastination in the future? Is that because it's not important to you, or is that because it's boring? Is that because you are too tired, you are not prioritizing self-care, so why are you procrastinating? So it's kind of dive deeper into the question, and then you'll find your own wisdom, you find your own answer, instead of I giving you a suggestion how to overcome and I blame you for anything that you're not doing.
So I can then lead into the question that I need to ask you. It's what are the benefits of using a life coaching approach for career coaching?
Yeah, so because life coaching is really that holistic life view. So when you use life coach approach to approach career coaching, first of all, it help you identify the right role for you, help you make the right career decisions that really align with your life vision, align with your values. And then with that kind of motivation, you have longer term motivation. Instead of focusing on one job, you focus on what's your life role and how does my next role fit into my life plan. So you are more motivated when you're at a job. So it help you identify the right role. And once you identify the right role, coaching also help you get the right role, because you're very aware of your strengths and weaknesses. You know this is the right role for you, so you can advocate for yourself better. You perform better in interviews, so you can get the right role. And once you're in that role with life coaching, help you build the right mindset and skills for the role, because as Nicola said, soft skills is actually very important. So how can you build those soft skills? So through coaching, we help you build resilience, build communication skills, so that can help you become better at your job. Sorry. Also help you build connections with people around you, so you work better. And then, so when you have a holistic view of your whole life, you have better well-being, because you have better work-life balance. You know what are the other important things in your life. So it makes you happier when you're on the roll, and then you can definitely perform better when you're happier, and then you're more motivated. So you can progress in your role with that kind of attitude. You believe me, it's more about you as a person than your skills when you're at your job. So when people see your positivity, see your motivation, see how you're excelling in what you're doing, you are going to build that the personal branding. It's going to help you get the leadership roles, help you get promoted. So using life coaching approach is really helping you, helping the business, helping the company move faster.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for that. We've got one more question, and it's for everyone. So, in your experience, what is the most valuable piece of advice or support women in tech need to reach leadership positions, and how can coaching accelerate that journey? I think I would just, go with the part that says, in your experience, what is the most valuable piece of advice or support women in tech need to reach leadership positions? What do you think, Imogen, in terms of skills and things, from using QA as an example, since that's your area, when head of roles come up and you maybe have people who are only at manager level, what do you advise them if they ask you for advice?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, my advice is always just to go for it, as simple as that. And like you said, when you are doing the interviews, getting advice prior to the interviews. So finding out exactly what's going to take place in that interview, so you can better prepare yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time it's on the spot thinking, you don't come across the best. So it's about being prepared when going for them jobs, looking at other people in them positions, and like I said, just reaching out, what do your day-to-day responsibilities look like, what kind of things do you come up against, and taking what they say and learning from it and implementing how you would go about reacting to them kind of situations.
It's funny because when you said you tell them to just go for it, I was thinking of this thing. I was speaking to somebody earlier on a call, and I was saying to them that percentage about women only go for jobs where 90% of the job description, and men will go with anything between 10 and 30%. They just apply and, throw caution to the wind, and they don't care if they don't. Well, I'm not sure that everybody's like that, but if you're just going for a job where you don't match the skill set, you must be really brave enough to do that. And a lot of the time women don't take that chance. So like you said,
I think if it's something I can say, as a recruiter, I see a job description from a company, a client. When I get on a call with them, to actually highlight what they're exactly looking for, it's a tiny amount of the whole list. You can have an A4 page of skills listed that they're looking for. When you speak to them and get to the core of what they're actually looking for, it's only a few of the bullet points that really matter. But people on the job market, like I said, women are put off by seeing that list of skill sets, and I've only got 50% or 75%, and they don't go for it. So that, from like the insider knowledge, I would really say, if you think you genuinely can do this job and you might not have all the skills listed, but the responsibilities are things that you have previously done or feel like you could do, with a bit of support and help. You don't want to go for a job which is exactly the same as what you're doing at the moment, because you're never going to advance. You need to push yourself, and you need to go for a job where you don't, have everything, because that's the only way you're going to grow in your career.
No, I agree. And I think a lot of the time where you get stuck worrying about the current position you have, you stop thinking about progression and where you might, like Akua was saying, where you might be in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. You're not thinking like that. So planning is really, really important. And I know it's more difficult.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question earlier.
Yeah. And I think if you're starting from a QA point of view, if you're starting your career in QA, think about whether you want to go down that leadership route or whether you want to go down that technical route, and start early on.
That's the same for a software engineer as well.
Yeah.
You do get people who get to a point where they think, I'm supposed to progress now, but progression means line management and people, and I don't like people, or something like that, because they think they're going to have to deal with everybody's everyday problems. Whereas they should look at it as line management is fantastic because it gives you a whole new set of skills, and it helps you to deal with problems, because not every day is sunshine, and it helps you to understand how to deal with people, all different types of people, with all the things that make them them. It's great. It's all experience at the end of the day, but you can still stay very technical if you want.
Yeah, definitely. It's not one or the other. You can definitely do both.
Okay, I think that's all of our questions, and I'm just going to share my screen again to see where I am with everything.
Should I share the last piece of suggestion as well?
Yeah, go for it while I sort my screen out.
I just say that have clarity around who you are, who you want to be, and own your voice unapologetically. That's one piece of suggestion I want to give to everyone, especially women in tech.
I love that. Okay, I don't need a slido. I'll just go into a normal show. We've done that one. Do we have any questions for panel? I've been looking through the chat and I'm just seeing loads of lovely comments and things. But do we have any questions? Could somebody check the chat, because I've got a full screen on and I can't see the chat. Can anyone see any questions?
There's a few that are directed at you, Nicola, but some of them might be better to take them offline.
Yeah, probably take them offline. Okay, so we've got no questions for the panel. Here we go, the magic QR code page. Right, so all of these QR codes are for us. James and myself will take you to our link tree. Oh, someone's just joined as we're finishing. Hi, Han. Not sure if you can hear us, but we're about to finish. But oh, I've got somebody's got their hand up. Andrea.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I put my question there, so I'll try and ask it again.
Okay.
So what's the best way to transfer your skills from different backgrounds into tech so you have a chance to get observed by the recruiters? Is it a good idea to give examples on the CV or just highlight the skills?
I'll take this one.
Yeah, Imogen, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Andrea, is it you in particular looking to get into tech?
Well, I have a background in hospitality accounting admin, and I graduated last year, a bachelor degree in computing. and struggling since then to have a job.
Okay. Do you know where you
I
want to
don't
go in
know.
tech?
No. Because I've done lots of different modules and different areas. It was really hard to choose one. I kind of knew what I like, but I didn't see myself where I fit in. So I came
Okay.
across the Kajigo program, and now I'm into the mentoring. I just started, and I'm so excited. And Rav just seen something in me when I had the interview with her and chatting and giving examples of where I want to be, what I want to do. She said, like, I think you will be good at Scrum Master. And I was like, oh, wow, well, okay. I'm really open. I'm really positive. So yeah, this is how all this story with Scrum Master started. She said, you have lots of skills from your previous jobs. I was a supervisor, I was a system manager, so I've done a few managing roles. But yeah, I haven't seen that coming. So I'm working towards this now with my mentor.
Okay.
So
Um,
I am aware of Agile and Scrum, but not in a way of applying for a job. I
Andrea,
don't
was it
know too
you
well
that
my skills.
Andrea, was it you that mentioned earlier?
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Okay.
yes,
So yeah, I said I'd contact you.
yeah.
I will contact you. There are lots
Okay,
of changes afoot in the market
okay,
regarding Scrum Master roles. There's a lot of activity at the moment. Um,
okay.
and it's not all positive because I think you need to think laterally about what other roles you could do as well as
Yes,
Scrum Master.
yeah,
So
yeah,
be
yeah,
an agile consultant. Could you
yes,
work in operations and maybe handle projects and things like that? So,
yes, yeah,
skills and all additional things. I think people need to think laterally. They've got Scrum Master skills. Here are some other roles that I can apply for as well,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
so that you've got more chances to get noticed for roles.
Yeah, at this point, I need to transfer my skills and talk with my mentor and see what's the best way of getting confidence and get out there and see how it goes. I'm just in the beginning, but yeah, probably because I don't know that some of my skills are really good for this role. I didn't had a coach, I didn't had a mentor, so yeah, it's really basic in this area. So I
And
hope
if
I
you want
can
to drop
find
me your
more.
CV, I can have a look at it.
Okay, yeah,
I
will be
review
great.
CVs all the time, so if you want to drop me
Thank
your
you.
CV, I can have a look.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
kind of give you some advice on best to structure that to get noticed
Take
for
a
technical positions.
screenshot of Imogen's QR
Yes.
code, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
I've got one more hand up. I've got Willow.
Hi, yeah, sorry. This is probably for Imogen. I'm just wondering about recruiters and in the tech industry and just kind of how it works because I've been on a lot of recruitment websites, but you have to like specifically apply for a certain role. So I was just wondering your advice on like getting in touch with recruiters like yourself, whether it's best to go on LinkedIn or like email, try and find an email. It's not always listed. So sometimes it's like difficult to like reach out to someone and get their advice on where to start. So do you have any kind of tips?
Yeah, go on LinkedIn. You can drop me a message. But if you know what kind of industry you want to go into, there's a lot of tech recruitment companies. There's people who focus on a specific area. For example, I do QA. So I have a lot of people wanting to get into QA reaching out to me because they see that's what I recruit for. So if you know what you want to do, I'd reach out to those recruiters in that specialism. But say that, just drop me your CV and I'm sure I can help and point you in the direction of a few people.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, so is it better to, if you're not really sure on what specific roles you're going for, like I have an idea, but if you're not sure 100% and you just kind of want someone who works in the recruitment all the time to kind of be like, this is where you should be going, is it better to reach out to them directly?
Just reach out to someone directly, and if it's not themselves, they can refer you to one of their colleagues.
Yeah, okay. Amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Do we have any more questions? I can't see the chat. Sorry. No? Okay. Well, I hope everyone's got screenshots of the QR codes.
Sorry, Nicola, there is one more from Hannah. Do you want me to read it out if that's okay?
Because I can't see chat.
Is LinkedIn essential for networking when starting out into the tech industry? I'm very private online and very aware of personal information. Even my photo has online. Is this a huge barrier?
Do you know what? I'm going to tell you a little story. When Facebook first became a thing, there were a lot of companies that wouldn't even look at you if you didn't have a Facebook profile. That's obviously changed now, but I think LinkedIn, they have 1 billion users, right? And there's something that I read the other day that said that LinkedIn itself, people only tend to log into it once a month on average. I know that's not the case for myself. I know it's not the case for a lot of recruiters, and a lot of recruiters use LinkedIn to advertise their jobs.
I use it more than other social medias, Nicola.
Right. And to just be aware of what's happening from a perspective of thought leaders and people within the spaces that you want to work in, it's quite important. Now, whether or not you want to actually have a full profile, debatable whether you need to have that, and you don't need to post or anything like that, but it is good to have some kind of presence on there, because a lot of the time a hiring manager will do things which is maybe not allowed, I'm not sure, but I've known hiring managers who check what you've got on your CV against what you've got on your LinkedIn profile, and if they don't match, they'll cut you out of the process. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, that does happen quite a
And
lot.
so, it's kind of like, because also you can get verified on LinkedIn now, a lot of companies are utilizing that as well to see whether or not you're an actual person, a genuine person. And so you'll see people with the little badge, like my name. Like, I can't even have the letters after my name on LinkedIn anymore, because it's only verifying me with my full and proper name, not with my letters after my name. So, but it shows people that I'm verified. This is me, and they utilize that a lot. So you really need to balance up how you feel comfortable. Maybe you could do your first name. I know someone who does their first name and just their surname is just just the first letter of their surname, rather than doing the whole thing, and that way they feel like they're a bit safer rather than having all their details out there. But yeah, you should balance that up, because a lot of people, companies and recruiters do use LinkedIn.
Nicola, can I just interject on something as well there?
Yeah.
In regards to that question as well, I would say that I've always kind of been relatively introverted myself.
Yeah.
And just because of some of the work I do outside of my day job, I post certain things on LinkedIn, like about the charity work and things like that. And that's actually how I got my role to be on a board of a charity. And so you can choose what you could put on there, but definitely in terms of your professional career and experience, make sure that it tallies up with what's on your CV, just like what Nicola is saying, because it's so important. Even things like dates, make sure that they're correct. If you take a career break, take sabbatical, all that kind of thing, make sure that it's on there, because that's you kind of portraying what you're like to that recruiter and to that company. And it is true that now a lot of companies do look on LinkedIn to like verify you are who you are, and also be careful what you post on there, like in terms of anything political, anything outside the norm of your professional career. Be careful when posting about on LinkedIn, because it is meant to be kind of a professional social media site where you can network, meet individuals, like in terms of connections from other companies. And it's also a good networking tool, because let's say if you go into a tech event, that's how you generally connect with someone. You'll be like, oh, let's exchange details, like scan each other's QR codes and things like that. But also one clear thing I do say to individuals as well, when you're connecting with people, say how you met that individual as well, because that's another way for them to verify you.
Yeah.
That's quite important.
Yeah, I mean, I don't normally, you mean putting a note on your ad request?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes if you go to events, it's worth doing that as a follow-up because then they're most likely to accept you as well.
And then you'll find that some people don't take it personally if you add somebody and then you don't hear from them for ages, because like I say, they reckon the average is that people only log in once a month. So, you know, there may be a bit of that. But if you've just met somebody at an event, like Akua was saying, it's easy to just, you know, scan a code and add them. And it's the safest place to have them because it's you should really only have it for business, not your personal life and things like that. So it's not really as if you're oversharing. You share as much as you're comfortable with. Is that everything? Can somebody tell me? I'm not sure. We're 7 minutes over.
Scanning it now.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're pretty good to go. The rest is just thank yous going from the bottom down, and then the rest just, yeah, someone geared at you, Jane or Imogen, for like offline chats from their session.
So yeah, that being said, thank you everybody for joining. That's lovely numbers for tonight. I'm really happy. You know, we may do another one like this because I think that coaching is not something that gets discussed very often. And I'd love to talk about this and sponsorship. I think that's really important. We went to that event, didn't we, Akua, at the Karen Brady
Yeah.
thing. We went to the Karen Brady Business Women and Business in Business and Tech conference, and we did a round table. And one of the most important things that came off of our table was the discussion around having sponsorship as being really important to moving your career forward when it gets to a certain point. So if you're a bit more further on in your career, having somebody who will speak up for you and champion you and support you to move forward into higher level roles is really, really important. So maybe that's something that we'll do as a follow-up to this, because I think this one's been quite successful. But yeah, that's it from us. Please do reach out. All of our details are on the QR codes. We'd love to speak to you again. And we'll keep you in mind for future events. So do look out for our stuff on Eventbrite. And yeah, that's it from me.